Hello, welcome everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to everybody watching on the replay as well. It's great to have you with us. And I'm here today to talk to the fabulous Dawn Gray of infant sleep consulting fame, all about her wonderful and varied and interesting career and her shift into the work of holistic sleep coaching. So thank you so much for joining me, Dawn.
Lyndsey, thank you for this morning.
Absolute pleasure. Right, so I'm going to dive straight in and probably embarrass you immediately because you have a very, very, very long career. You're extremely experienced. Your beautiful, youthful face definitely hides the fact that you've actually been in this industry for more than 30 years, haven't you? Very, very experienced maternity nurse. And you mainly now focus on sleep work, is that right?
Yes, I do. Yes, mainly sleep, and I do still do newborn nights as well. So that keeps teeny tiny ones, which is lovely.
Yeah, we're all jealous here. We're all very, very jealous of all of those snuggly baby cuddles. But can you explain what you enjoy most about sleep coaching? What is it that kind of hooked you in the first place, and what is it about it that keeps you working in this area and has made that shift away from maternity nursing?
Yeah, I mean, like a lot of people doing sleep consultancy, sort of started with my two children not being very good sleepers at all those, and I think for me, instinctively, the best way forward was to be responsive and gentle and all of those things. Even though it went against the sort of norm of sleep coaching, which was timed crying, pop in, pop out, that sort of thing. And there was nothing really about gentle sleep coaching about. And also we didn't have the internet, there were a certain amount of books that you could buy at the shop at Waterstones or wherever. And there was very little information about it. And I thought, I think the more as my children got older and their sleep improved anyway, I then just became very interested in it, particularly when I left my nannying career, which I'd sort of fallen into accidentally when I qualified in 1985. And it went from there. When I went into maternity nursing, a lot of conversations then revolved around sleep, newborn sleep, and if I was with the family for a few months, obviously sleep would be a main topic of conversation. So that's how I started with it all, really. And I think that the thing that I most enjoy about it now is seeing, witnessing, and being part of that transformation in both, the child's sleep, improvements, and also the parents' well-being, their confidence and clarity around their child's sleep, and actually just supporting them through that. And then at the end of it, however long that takes, they're a lot more confident and happier with the whole situation. So
Yeah.
just seeing the transformation, I think, is the real thing. And then at the end, I coached somebody, a couple of weeks ago, finished on Friday, and we were leaving each other voice notes every day. So she'd sort of send me through the baby's sleep and feeding diary from the day before, and then we'd leave each other a voice note. But we sort of got on to other things. We were talking about family, her older daughter, my children, each other, what we were doing at the weekend. And it sort of became a little bit of a friendship. And she doesn't live very far from me. And she said, I just really want to stay friends with you. I'm going to miss our daily chats. And that is such a lovely thing to say and also to be part of. Just a really, so friendships can be formed from working with clients, particularly if you really hit it off in that way and you talk about sort of more personal stuff. So
Yeah.
Really lovely.
I think it's about social support and kindness and compassion. And And often as a sleep coach, you're the first and probably the most significant person to actually sit down and listen to somebody who wants to talk about the aspects of parenting and sleep and raising kids that they're finding really difficult. And that when you have those kinds of vulnerable conversations, that often can lead into a really close therapeutic relationship, can't it? And that's one of the lovely things about sleep work, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. I mean, I did actually meet this lady because I did a home visit. But it even happens with people that I don't do a home visit with, when it's just been on the phone and sort of.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it and that and friendliness, and then that allows them to and chat, like all sorts of different things, not always sleep and babies. So yeah, so no, it's lovely. And also after doing, which I would like to mention, the really enjoyable aspect for me as well is having friends that were on the same cohort, particularly, and we've formed real lifelong friendships through consultants together. Our values align, and times align, and we have, we've so several girls I'm, very, very close to, definitely.
Well, I mean, and that's really special, isn't it? Because you can cross-refer to each other as well, can't you? Because if you know that you all, you trained on the holistic sleep coaching program together, you have the same ethos, you have the same kinds of ideals and priorities, it then becomes quite easy to say, oh gosh, I'm fully booked at the moment. Would you, could you take on this lovely client that I just don't have capacity to see right now, that's really special as well, isn't it?
Yes, it really is. I feel very lucky to have girls in my life.
It's so important to be able to trust your colleagues and to know that they're going to work in exactly the same way as you, and they're not going to do anything that would, jeopardize your reputation either. So yeah, I'm so happy for you that you've got that community of other coaches who are like-minded as well. And I suppose that leads me slightly into my next question, which is, I mean, why did you pick the holistic sleep coaching program in the first place? You already had all of this experience. Why did you pick the HSCP?
Yeah, I think sort of chatting to you, I think we'd had a couple of conversations on the phone, hadn't we, as well. And I think it just really, really resonated with me and how I was as a parent, and actually how I then became with clients and their little ones. As I say, when I first started all those it was very much about going, calm the baby, pick them up, put them down, give them a few minutes, go back, and that was considered very gentle.
Yeah.
Still didn't really quite sit right with me. Yes, so it was very bad that it completely aligned with my own values. And the fact that it prioritizes responsiveness and gentleness and connection, and at no way is well parents' well-being compromised.
Yeah.
And I yeah, it was, it sort of provides you, your course provides you with all the tools that you need to really look at every single aspect. Very, very important. When you're dealing with infant and child sleep.
Yeah, absolutely. And how would you say sleep coaching allows you to work differently with clients compared with maternity nursing?
I would say that it's just generally. Do you mean personally, as in practically, or sort of?
Yeah, so because obviously when you're working as a maternity nurse, and you're caring for newborns, your role is different to the role that you have when you're booked to come in and support a family who have a specific sleep challenge. What is it about sleep coaching that is different, and how is it that you're able to work in a more in-depth way, or yeah, what's the main difference, would you say?
I think the main, involves a comprehensive sort of care of both mother and baby, whereas sleep consulting, sleep coaching, whether that's hands-on support or whether it's remote, it is really, I mean, looking at everything holistically and putting everything together, but then really focusing on creating some sleep strategies after the initial assessment and plan. Really focusing then on some just specific sleep related strategies to sort of get them to get their little ones sleeping and the family sleeping again. So, so I think that's the main thing. I mean, quite often what will happen is that I go into a maternity nursing client and then it sort of follows on, and they might book for 8 weeks for nights or something, 3 or 4 nights a week, and that will go on and on and on. So the twins that I've just been with last night, they're 7 months old now. I went in for 8 weeks with them, and we've just continued all the way through, and they are now just both sleeping through the night at 7 months. So so it can quite often, one leads on to the other anyway. They've built that relationship with you, where they trust you, and you've got how you work with them. Quite often it will lead on to.
Yeah, it's so important, isn't it, that if you're going to have somebody in your home doing hands-on sleep work, because of course not all sleep consultants and coaches do hands-on work, and some people just work remotely or whatever, but if you are going to have somebody in your home providing hands-on support to your little ones, it's so important that they trust you. So I suppose it's quite a natural progression, isn't it, that if you've worked with them for several weeks and the babies know you, it must actually be quite a lovely thing to be able to continue that support in a more specifically sleep related way.
Exactly. And or quite often, I should say, you might leave a client, but then they'll call, if they know you're a sleep consultant, then call you back when there's a sleep further down the line, the 4 month progression that everybody sort of, or most people will struggle with at some point. And yeah, so they often call you back and say, oh, which is lovely. It's lovely to get back to people.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious, because obviously lots of different parents have lots of different philosophies on parenting style, and not everybody parents in the same way. Do you often get clients who simply aren't aware that there is a gentle, responsive way to support little ones to have optimal sleep? And do you find it relatively easy to kind of give them these gentle, responsive, holistic options? How does that, I'm curious, how does that play out for you when you're working with clients who, actually that they thought cry it out was the only way that you could improve sleep, and then here you come along and you say, actually, did you know there was another way? How does that go?
Yeah, quite often that happens actually, and even so much so that a couple of weeks ago, a lady contacted me, and I've just supported her. She actually threw her other little one, her 2.5-year-old, into the mix as well, because the first one made such an improvement such a short time. She said, oh, can you help me with child number 1, who's 2.5? He now isn't sleeping and is waking up early and all the rest of it. So and she was very much about we need tough love, and and I did cry out with my first one when he was little, and it worked. So I'd really like to do that, and I was like, oh, I'm really sorry, you definitely don't need me to do that, that's a sort of, but how about we sort of do it this way? And she was like, oh, well, I'm not sure that that's going to work, I'm really looking for this to be fixed as quickly as possible, and which she had written actually on her intake form as well. And I thought, if I sort of explain it to her, the thing is, as with sleep coaching and holistic sleep coaching, it's about everything that encompasses the sort of the whole world of sleep, that their well-being, their sleep, and their sleep journey. And we, I chatted to her at great length, and I said, well, because I'm, very experienced, and I don't like to say I'm so experienced, but I think having that knowledge, that background in infant care, in development, in psychology, in sleep itself, nutrition, all of those things, I said to her, look, let's give it a go this way, because I really feel that we can make some improvements, because quite often it might be a case of something simple like tweaking the daytime routine. Sometimes it's a lot more complex and we have to sort of dig deeper, and that's fine. But quite often it can be something that is tweaked in a couple of days. If something isn't working, we then look at another strategy and we work through it until we get there. And quite often you will find that it takes the same amount of time to get results, the results that you're looking for, as it would if you did cry out, or timed crying, or controlled crying. And so she was quite skeptical, and she said, you have been, after a couple of days, you have been amazing. I cannot believe this. If I just didn't think it was going to work without leaving him to cry. And and these two little ones shared a room as well, actually. So she was worried that the one would wake up the other. And I said, well, there doesn't really need to be any crying. We can't stop babies from crying, but sort of supporting him through it. And the older one, she was putting them to bed at the same time, and one was disturbing the other. And I said, we just need to sort of tweak things a little bit. And, we can do this gently and still get the results. And she is just delighted with both of her little ones now sleeping through, having later mornings, and so it's much better. So I think sometimes it is just a case of encouraging them that we can still get results. And I never ever promise a quick fix, but quite often it is quite a quick fix, because things pop out that are very, very obvious, that they're sort of okay, right, they're having too much daytime sleep, or not enough daytime sleep, or we can try this with the naps and that with the naps. So yeah, it works really well.
Yeah, I love that story. I love the fact that even when people they haven't even Googled holistic, gentle, no cry it out, responsive sleep consultant, they haven't even looked for that, and sometimes that's exactly what they get anyway, and it works, and it's amazing, and they're converted. And I love that, because she now believes that there are other ways to manage this, and you've restored her faith in doing it in a more responsive way. So well done for that.
Exactly, thank you. Because she didn't Google that. She was told by a mum at nursery about me, and she gave my number. So, and I don't even, she said, I don't really know the mum that well. I don't even know who she is, which is always really nice too.
That's very, very nice. Yeah. And speaking of which, that leads me very nicely onto my next question, which is, you are one of the more unusual people who actually relies mostly on word of mouth referrals, and you're very, very busy. And in this day and age of lots of people finding support via social media and via Google and whatever, you are actually somebody who relies on word of mouth referrals. Do you have any top tips? If you could pass on 2 top tips to somebody who perhaps wasn't looking to only market themselves through word of mouth referrals, but wants that to be a source of referrals, what would you say would be an important way of making that successful as a strategy?
Yeah, I think if they're new to it and trying to establish themselves, I would definitely say to do some, once that they're graduated, to do some pro bono work and do some sleep coaching free of charge, just to get some testimonials and really network with people, really mums, parenting groups, local nurseries and parent centres, and yeah, just really network with people, and then build up a group of people that are doing the same, doing your course at the same time, because that can be real, it is very, very, very helpful. And just being able to, like we spoke about earlier, refer on to each other, really, and also I would say, try to, and I think we, or trying to do lots of other courses to complement if they haven't done very much before. It's really trying to get that knowledge up there, because somebody, a parent could ask me anything about sleep or what happens at a certain age, or and I'm able to sort of give them that answer. You need to come across, they need to sort of be seen as the expert and know what they're talking about. That's the most important thing. If you
Yeah.
working with, I don't know, I need to go and find out for you, you don't really, it's not really giving them an awful lot of confidence. But if you're doing it obviously for free to build up your experience, you're honest about that, and then you're building up your references, and then you can sort of move on from there. So
Yeah.
the social media thing for me, yes, I mean, I'm on Instagram, I've got a website and all of those things, but I think, I just really struggle with, I didn't grow up with phones, computers, anything else, and I'm just too busy to learn. My son is always saying, just really learn how to do it, for goodness sake, what's wrong with you, and I'm like, oh, I don't like it. So yeah, I'm very much about, networking, and
Yeah.
my clients do, they're all very happy, so they are more than happy to do their friends and other people and people at nursery, and
Yes.
good, it's good.
Yeah, absolutely. So networking, references, and lots of experience. I mean, I think there's a happy medium, isn't there? That, it is getting clients via social media, and having, a really informative website is definitely a really good way of making sure people get to know you. They know that they can trust you. But we also always love hearing about those more creative ways of getting your name known, and certainly networking with other related professionals. And
Yes.
yeah, it's really important. So thank you for that. And finish us off by just sharing whether you had any kind of light bulb moments when you were studying on the holistic sleep coaching program. Was there anything that stood out and has been important for you in your practice?
I think, yeah, the light, but one of the sort of main light bulb moments for me was when I was doing your course, which is quite a few years ago now. I think it was just sort of, the understanding of sleep dynamics just really, really, the sort of gentle way of doing it, really, that you do not need to do sort of some more controlled crying methods, and that it was just very, very aligned to what I've been doing with my own children, as I mentioned earlier. So yeah, it was sort of, this is how it should be, and this is what felt natural and instinctive, and it was like I was doing this 29, or well, actually he wasn't 29 then, but I was doing this sort of 25 years ago, whatever, and I didn't know it was called gentle, holistic, responsive, sleep. But well, I wasn't even doing it. I was just sort of doing all the things like letting him come into my bed, and all of those things that all the books were saying you shouldn't do, and I was doing it. So it sort of really validated that, and also validated that the way I'd sort of had already started working with clients and their babies, and the sort of transformation of sort of being sort of very in tune and being very, very gentle, that was validated as well. So yeah, it's the validation that actually, all those things I've been doing was really the right and the most natural, and and also I think because it's sort of evidence based and science backed and all of those wonderful things as well, you know I felt that, that it was just, yeah, again, just validation that what I'd been doing and how I'd been supporting clients was definitely sort of the way forward and the right thing to be doing. And it's a shame now you still see so many people and sleep coaches who have trained with other organizations, are still doing controlled crying, and in certain countries that is considered very gentle still, very responsive, and I don't think you need to do that. And yeah, the main eureka moment was definitely, um, and it was like, oh my goodness, this is what I was doing all along. And I thought it was the wrong thing to be doing when my son was born. And then it was like, actually, no, it was the right thing, what I was doing as a new mum and a new parent. And actually, even with my background as a children's nanny for 10 years before I had my son, I thought I knew everything there was to know. And I clearly didn't, because actually when you become a mum, it's very, very different. And you've got the emotional aspect of it, and being 100% responsible for this well-being. And you just want to get it right. So yeah, I think,
Yeah, amazing. So that kind of blend of validating something that felt instinctive, but also adding on the evidence base and some additional strategies, and I think also the sleep biology piece is really important, isn't it? Learning how you can work with a child's sleep biology to naturally optimize sleep, and as you say, sometimes that can be something that will fix a sleep challenge in 2 or 3 days, just because um, if you work with a child's natural body rhythms rather than trying to just enforce a sleep schedule that doesn't align with the way that their body works, it's easier, it's quicker, it's stress-free. It's just a lovely way to work, isn't it?
definitely. And yeah, I think the training that I did with you, it has definitely enriched how I respond to children and the things that I say. So it's wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much. We loved having you. We love continuing to see you grow, and supporting you in the alumni group. So thank you very, very much for talking to us today. And if people want to find you and hear more about your brilliant way of working with families, they can catch you at Infant Sleep Consulting on Instagram and Facebook. Is that right?
Yes, and also through my website, which is consulting.co.uk. Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you very, very much for your time today. We really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And if you've got any questions, then please do pop them in the comments below. Thanks, everybody.
Nice to see you.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
Dawn. Take care.